Hello, and a very good evening to you. Welcome to Motor Show 80, and I'm on my way to the NEC at Birmingham now in a Mini Metro, the most important new car ever to be launched on the British market. And my first impression is it's quiet, very, very quiet indeed. It is very smooth, very, very light steering, and they only appear to have really missed out on one thing, and that's an altimeter. Have a look outside, you'll see what I mean.
And welcome to the NEC. And if you think all the razzmatazz of the Lionel Blair dances has got nothing to do with motor cars, then I must say you're completely wrong, because Motor Show 80 is about solid entertainment. There are, of course, lots of new ideas here and a lot of new cars. Let's start off with Stuart Hall, who's met a Rolls-Royce.
The spirit of ecstasy, for years the symbol of excellence atop every Rolls-Royce radiator. But alas, a collector's piece and easily filchable until now. On impact, the lady vanishes. But now to compare a Rolls-Royce with any other motor car is unfair, because quite simply, Rolls-Royce have been making the best car in the world for 76 years. 2/3 of whatever they made is still rolling. So how do Rolls-Royce stay in the van? How do they beat the Silver Shadow 2? Well, they come up with this: the Silver Spirit and the Silver Spur. A redesigned body, it's longer, it's lower, and it's wider. The engine is the same as the Shadow 2. It's 6.7 litres, and it seems to last for years. Owners speak of 100,000, 200,000 miles out of the unit. It's well tried and tested. The rear suspension is different, though. It's a straight lift from the Corniche, and it gives you extra road holding. The old body roll of the Shadow 2 is gone, and you can now chuck this thing into a corner like a sports car and survive. The instrumentation, as you would expect, is fully comprehensive. Most of the fascia here, with this beautiful burr walnut, is taken from the Shadow 2. Everything is on, including an ice warning. If the temperature drops outside and you're running into some ice, then a red light flashes. And for the first time in a Rolls-Royce, they've a little bit of digital here. On the left, the outside temperature. In the middle, the time. On the right, the lapse time for the journey. The Silver Spur costs around about £56,000, and the Silver Spirit, well, you won't get much change out of £50,000. And I think that we in Britain ought to be proud that the British at least make it.
Sir Michael, you must be very pleased with the rapturous reception you've had for the Metro.
Yes, it has been every bit as good as we hoped it would be, maybe better.
Does that mean you're planning to increase production at Longbridge? It's up to about 2,000 a week at the moment.
Well, you want to ask Ray Horrocks how he sees the operating position. All I can say to you is that with a reception like this, the board is convinced that we should go ahead with LC10, the new mid-car, and of course we put proposals to government, and I would expect that a decision will be forthcoming during this year, the end of the year.
You obviously know the details of the LC10. Do you think it's going to be as much a showstopper as this car's been?
Yes, I think it will. I mean, the Metro is both a magic car. I think we'll develop the theme of it's cheaper by Metro. Clearly it is very economical. Now LC10 will have these characteristics as well as others. Clearly it will be larger, and it will be meant for, it will replace competitive models which are in the 1.3 towards 2-litre category. I mean, it's a different proposition, but I think part of the interest in Metro is the fact that 2-3 years ago, people didn't think we'd ever build the Metro. They didn't think Beale would survive to get to the stage. Now it has, And I think that LC10 is going to be really the climax of our product regeneration program.
We certainly hope so. Of course, the Metro is coming into a very tough sector of the market with a lot of strong competition. It's got a good reception, but is it going to be standing up against that competition in 6 months' time?
Far more than standing up. If you analyse the position, as a lot of motoring chaps have in the last weeks, it really beats the competition on almost every point. I've driven the Metro at 96 miles an hour. I'm assured it does 97, but I didn't try. But I've driven it at that speed. It's absolutely superb in road holding. You've got the petrol consumption, I needn't comment about that. You've got the remarkable space, the internal space. I think it's got everything.
I suppose the key question is, when at its build-up in production, does it start making money for BL?
Well, it doesn't really work like that. Longbridge without Metro is losing money. Longbridge with any number of Metros loses less money. Longbridge with more Metros loses even less. In other words, it contributes to the overall economy of the company as the production grows. Provided its gross profit is good, which it is, the more we sell, the better we are. Now, I'm really saying that you mustn't see Metro as the answer to BL's problems on its own. It's a factor in the overall scene. It's an important factor. Clearly it will be profitable from the word go. Whether BL Cars is profitable, however, depends on fleshing out the rest of the range. And we really want Mini, we want Metro, we want LC10 leading up into the Rovers and the Jaguars. That's what it's all about.
Well, if you find walking around the show a little bit tiring, you can always try this sort of tunnel of love arrangement that Dunlop have got here. You can see all their exhibits, and, well, it takes the weight off your feet. Here's Jan Leeming. Dee and I are just going inside.
Well, I reckon I've got the best job here today. I found someone else I wanted to talk to, Norman Wisdom. Norman, I don't like these microphones. If we stick together, I don't have to keep doing this.
No, well, I'll tell you, hold it there, and when you pull it in, I can get it.
Now, look, I'm supposed to be being serious.
Yes.
I know you love cars, and I know you've got quite a few.
Well, I've only got, you know, the occasional. I've got the Bentley, the old one. It's old,
Yes.
but it's beautiful. Continental
Yes.
Bentley.
Yeah.
Got a roller. That's what they call them. But the BMW's the one, and the motorbike. That's, oh, you must come and have a ride on the.
Oh, listen, I won't go on my husband's motorbike, let alone yours.
No, but
and I also know you've had a little wander around the show. So, what are you going to buy to add to the stable?
Well, there's upstairs. There's a special place with a motivated skateboard, and it's smashing. It's very fast, 0 to 60 in 20 minutes.
You don't still use your skates.
I do. Now, ice skating is the best for me. But it is a smashing show, and there's so much entertainment going on.
It's absolutely
You can't look at
lovely.
the cars.
No, I
but
know.
it's beautiful cars with spoilers and aerofoils, and it's really wonderful. But the
know.
most exciting thing for me, and this is why I'm here, is because I've got this.
Oh, thank you. Oh,
Read it. What's it for?
it's wonderful. It's a cheque for the Save the Children Fund, which
Yes.
Norman's going to be presenting tomorrow.
This is presented by QH, see, and they've started it off with £1,000, and at the end of the show, they are guaranteed another £9,000, and that's the main reason why I'm here. In the meantime, I have a nip round and look at the cars, and if you don't mind, now and again, I can look at you, eh? Is that all right?
Oh,
Your
thank
husband
you.
watching.
Over the years, people just haven't bought Mercedes. They've invested in them almost like a nugget of gold, because the superb Mercedes engineering has always ensured that the car has had a ready second-hand value. But now with recession, Mercedes find themselves like Rolls-Royce and Jaguars, competing on a market where their motor cars are just simply motor cars. But Britain is the classic market for the prestige executive car, and they don't come more prestigious than this brand new Mercedes 380 SEL. Let's have a look inside. The motor car costs just 5 pence less than £19,500. But as you would expect with a Merc, it is lavishly equipped. Everything is computerized about it on the dashboard here. But this is the most important factor for the fuel-conscious motorist. 4 speeds in the automatic box, ensuring you can travel safely and return on an urban cycle something like between 15 and 16 miles per gallon. The back of the car is spacious, bags of room, head restraints for the rear passengers, also seat belts. Mercedes have missed nothing. The alloy engine simply whispering along. 60 miles an hour feels like 10. Power steering, and we can weave in and out very safely through the bollards at incredible speeds, and the car will not lose its sense of direction. It feels solid. It is solid. For my taste, being a thoroughly armchair Englishman, the seats are a wee bit too hard, but then the German engineers say, categorically, you shall not go to sleep at the wheel of our car.
There's a good basic rule for gaining major attention at a big public show like this one at Birmingham. If your ordinary range of cars are bread and butter saloons which are not natural show stoppers, that is to show a concept car, and that's exactly what Toyota have done here. And this is their FCX80, the concept car of the family car for the 80s. The first thing you notice about it is this interesting console of lamps set up here on the bonnet out of harm's way in an accident. And as you work back, you notice how the glass has all been faired in very smoothly to improve the aerodynamics and to reduce the wind noise. Lots of glass area, and when you open the doors, it's very interesting because you notice that the door tilts backwards as it opens. That means, of course, that as it opens, you've got a lot more shoulder room getting out of the car, very convenient for getting in and out. Then inside the car itself, you notice the most interesting thing is the way the steering wheel is deeply dished, and inside it, there is this special electronic display. So the whole instrument display is there. It's all in electronic form with linear gadgets. That's Toyota's FCX80, car of the 80s.
Well, there aren't just cars and vans and mobile homes here at the show. There are also lots of trucks and buses and coaches. And this particular coach, the MAN SR280, is following very much the new trend of executive-style travel. Come and have a look inside. This particular model has got seating for 46 people. There's even a television set and a video cassette recorder. In the back here, it's fully equipped. There's a little chemical loo set out very much like you'd find in an aircraft. There's a fridge here, which I'm told will hold 177 beer cans, which is some indication of the sort of people who'd use it. There's a hot water thing there for making coffee and a wash basin and lots of storage space. And one way and another, this has got to be a pretty comfortable way to travel around. I'm told that most of the First Division football teams go down the roads this way. And if you've got a football team or just a lot of friends you want to shift around and you happen to have £70,000, maybe you'd like to buy one.
Well, the Opel Commodore at 2.5 litres fits in between the 2-litre Record and the 3-litre Senator. There are two versions, the Berliner and the Berliner CD, which is the one I'm driving today. It comes in at round about £8,700, so what do you get for your money? It has the traditional Opel styling with the raked screen, and the back-end treatment looks as if it's had a kick from a giant, but they tell me it's aerodynamically efficient, so we'll accept that. To drive, it is so German. You could never mistake a German car for anything else. It has a great, solid feel about it. The seats are comfortable, but a little on the hard side. The ride is a little bit hard, but it's the sort of car you could jump into and drive anywhere. The instrumentation is brilliant. Tinted windows. You've got the sunshine roof, and the windows, by now, on every executive car made by anybody, are operated electrically. In short, it's the sort of car that your bank manager would like you to drive.
Famous people everywhere today, and I've just bumped into a lovely lady whom you probably best know from her part in the series Brothers, Lisa Goddard. Lisa, you said you have a very busy life. Do you cover a lot of miles in the course of your profession?
Oh, tremendous amount. I probably do about 25 to 30,000 miles a year.
Quite some going. So what, I mean, a woman looks for a different, looks at a car from a different aspect. What do you look for in a car?
Mostly reliability. Doing that sort of mileage. The only time I've ever broken down was in my very old A40 many years ago, and it fell apart on the M1. I was going to work in Leicester. So after that, the director of the theatre said, you must always buy a new car and make sure it's reliable and you get to work on time.
You say reliability, anything else? I mean, comfort, colour?
Well, comfort, obviously. Colour, I think, is a very important thing to women. I think you look at their colour more than you look at the actual car.
What colour have you got? What colour car have you got?
Well, actually, at the moment I've got a green one, but I don't like it very much, so I think I might get another colour.
Do you hear that?
I like that blue one over there.
Yes, nice colour for a lady. It blends with most of it. I mean,
Well,
do
it
you
does.
actually think when you buy it, oh, will I look right in all my different outfits as I get
Oh,
into
of
it?
course. That's why you choose a car, isn't it, to go with your...
Well, the men would hate us for saying it. Do you understand anything about cars? I mean, are you technical at all? Can you do
No.
anything for yourself?
No. Like when my choke handle fell off, I had to use a pair of pliers to start the car in the morning. I mean, that's about as technical as I can get.
So what happens if you were to break down in your very reliable car? Would you just stand on the side of the road and look helpless?
Yes, I'd dial the little phone at the side of the road. Help lot.
Lisa, I don't think you'd be standing there for long. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, despite the demise of MG, Britain is still building beautiful sports cars. TVR are one of the most successful companies in this field, building about 6 cars a week up in Blackpool. And today, TVR announces 3 new versions of their Tasman sports car. There's this convertible, there's the 2+2 with minimal seats for 2 children, and all the cars now have an automatic gearbox available. I think this is a very stylish motor car. It's beautifully finished, and it has enough power under its bonnet in the V6 2.8-litre Ford engine to take you from rest to 60 in under 8 seconds, up to a maximum of over 130 miles an hour, and still give you a performance of around 30 miles to the gallon. I like the hood arrangement, particularly on the convertible, because you can take this flat panel off and put it into the boot, and then just push this roll bar come window down, and you have a perfectly open, flat car. The price of the convertible is about £11,800. For the 2+2, you have to pay an extra £2,000, and for the automatic gearbox, it's just under £500.
The Honda Concerto plays on. First of all, the chord, then the prelude, and now the quintet. Ask me why they call it the quintet, and the answer is it has 5 doors. It's a hatchback. It's lighter than the Accord, and so will go a little bit faster. But the Japanese, you know, are very keen on market research, and they've beamed this car straight at the middle classes. Those retired gentlemen who want a distinguished carriage at a moderate price. And the price is slightly below £5,000. 1,600 cc's under the bonnet, coming through a 5-speed box that I find, I'm afraid, a little undistinguished. It's like stirring a sago pudding. I will just slap it into 5th speed for you. But in all fairness, the car is well finished. They've done the homework, these fellas, over there, and it's the gadgetry that really hits you straight between the eyes. There's a little lever here that you can turn to raise or lower the headlights. Everything is fingertip control. Is the open and shut sunshine roof. Just like that. Not even winding with a great big lever, all at fingertip. On the fascia is a little check to find out if you've got any brakes. And we press again just to make sure all the doors are shut. Well, as a package, I'm afraid it doesn't really appeal to me, but I'm quite sure that there are 1 or 2 retired accountants and bank managers who will relish this car and think it's a wonderful machine. The new Colt Galant, with its 2-litre engine, is quite a surprise. It develops about 110 brake horsepower, so you can gallivant along at 100 miles an hour if you so desire. Power steering is standard, and it is very, very precise indeed. The gearbox has 5 speeds in it. Now let's have a look around us at some of the extras on other cars, but which are standard in this one. For a start, we've radio and stereo, gadgets to adjust the seat, and a small gadget here on my seat that I value quite highly, because you turn the handle here and a small pad comes out from the back and it just nestles right there where you need it most. All in all, the Colt Galant, not a bad package, and you get a penny change out of £6,000.
Ferrari can always be guaranteed to have an exciting stand at any motor show, and probably at no other time in their history have they had such a comprehensive range of motor cars. And here's the latest edition. It's the Mondial. It's got a V8 engine mounted amidships. It's very much a 2+2, very plush inside. It'll do over 140 miles an hour. 0 to 60 time is quoted just over 7 seconds, and economy, well, somewhere between about 19 and 22 to the gallon. It'll cost you over £24,000. A nice motor. Well, from a fast car to a gentleman who's very much used to driving fast.
Jackie, for someone who's spent his life with cars, safety is obviously so important to you, but I understand you have a particular interest in safety being taught to children at a very young age.
Well, for me, I think we have to think not of necessarily today. What we can do today, of course, are many things, but I think what's most important is what we can do tomorrow, for tomorrow's generation of highway users. And the only way we can do that, I believe, is through the young people of this country. And it's not even a problem of Britain. It's a global problem because we all use cars. But I do feel very strongly that we have to prepare that next generation in a more positive way than we've been prepared. Because as a generation of highway users, we're a disaster. We're killing more and more people every year.
I mean, have you any ideas as to how this can be done? Because I understand it is done in some countries.
Well, it's being attempted to be done, but not really across the board in any country in the world right now. What I believe sincerely is that we have to incorporate into the normal school curriculum highway education from the age of 6 right until the time children leave school. That's the only way that we can prepare them mentally and physically to be able to handle the sort of hazards that daily life will bring to them when they grow up, because the highway is still going to be the most hazardous thing that they're going to be exposed to. There's lots of things we can do today, like putting children in the back seat, as they do, for example, in Switzerland. We can have compulsory wearing of seat belts. We can have more severe penalties for drunk driving. All of those things can be done. I call them, in a way, corrective medicine. But what I would like to instigate is preventive medicine. And the only way we can do that, in my opinion, is through education. And it has to be with young people. There's this great saying, you can't teach old dogs new tricks. I think in this case, it's right.
But is there anything you particularly feel you could do to help promote this
well,
safety
I think
of children?
Because I was so interested in safety as a racing driver, it was an obvious extension when I retired from racing to take an interest in highway safety, normal road driving. And I think young people are a good market for me because they know that I've risked my life, they know that I extended myself in danger, and I think they perhaps can listen to me a little more easily than they could a chief of police or a professor of safety.
All with dreams of being future Jackie Stewart.
Well, as long as they do it carefully.
Thank you very much.
That's the Fiat Panda, which is Fiat's latest effort to get into the small hatchback market, and which is here in Britain for the first time at the Birmingham Motor Show. It is, of course, a car based on the Fiat 127 with the transverse engine driving the front wheels, and it's using that same 127 engine of 900 cc's. It's a very practical sort of car, 3 doors, big hatchback at the rear, very lightweight, very simple construction, all flat glass, designed by Giugiaro, the man who's done so many cars lately. It's going to be very popular, I think, on the continent. I'm not quite so sure about here because it's up against cars like our own Mini Metro. This one, in fact, if it were in Britain today, would be selling at about £3,100, which is the price of the cheapest Metro in the range. But also very practical because of its narrow seats and the practicality of folding the rear seats. It won't, in fact, come to Britain until the middle of next year when it'll be first made in right-hand drive form. Then I think it might find the competition from our own products and also cars like the Fiesta a little bit tough for it, but we'll see.
The Renault Fuego, Fuego meaning fire in Spanish, and this is the first Fuego in the country with right-hand drive. It comes with a choice of 4 engines from 1400 cc's to 3 litres. This is the 2-litre GTX, and it weighs in at about 6,600 pounds. What do you get for your money? Well, undeniably the car is very, very smart indeed. Under the bonnet, the 2-litre alloy engine develops about 110 brake horsepower and will propel you at a maximum speed of round about 118 miles an hour. On the road, the Renault handles exactly as you would expect it to. It's tight, it's precise, exactly like a front-wheel drive car should handle. Everything, though, in here is well designed. We've got 5 speeds in the box, we've got electric windows, there's a good readout here on the instruments. You can adjust the steering wheel to suit yourself. You adjust the seat for up and down and fore and aft. Perhaps the most significant feature about this Renault, there is so much glass about it that you feel light and airy. The sort of car you could jump into and go for a real grand tour.
Well, Smiths Industries are the suppliers of many of the instruments you find on British cars, and here on their stand they have some very interesting examples of the sort of thing we're going to see in the future. Actually, you can already buy this computer unit, which is the onboard computer Star, developed from the one they're already making for the Mini Metro. And it has quite a lot of functions there. You can go along, change from time to fuel economy, how far you've got to go, even hold the figures if you want to while you have a break and then go on from there. And that one is already available at something under £150 with all its sensors, the whole kit. This one here is really the shape of instruments to come, because it's the combination of digital figures there with analog displays here on an electroluminescent display, which is really the way Smiths think instruments are going. Here you can get your movement up and down of a voltmeter in this case, or a tachometer, as well as your clock. And that will be available soon, in the early 80s anyway, and they're both coming from Smiths to our British cars soon.
Pat, the motor show wouldn't be complete without pretty girls sitting on cars. You're going up and down in an Allegro for 14 days. Do you find it tiring or boring?
No, not at all. In fact, I'm doing 2 cars. I'm doing the Rover as well.
Oh, you got the posh one as well?
Yes.
Were you here 2 years ago when it was the NEC?
Yes, yes, I had a quite interesting job. I was Lady Godiva with the red rum.
You were Lady Godiva on red rum?
Yes, well, I was supposed to sit on him, but he didn't like the light. He kept prancing about.
Well, walking around this show, you never know who you'll meet. My guest now, what more could I say than what do you think of the show so far?
Excellent up to now. You thought I was going to say rubbish there, didn't you? No, it's excellent. It really is.
What are you doing with that dish rag
They
round
told me
your
to
neck?
put this on. I can't get that off. That's the trouble. I've rubbed everywhere. I can't get it off. Sad, really.
No, what do you really think of the show so far?
Well, as I say, it's absolutely marvellous. There's so many cars here.
Really?
I didn't expect so many cars.
Didn't you?
No.
What did you expect?
I thought it was the boat show.
That's
a bit
down the
worried.
other end.
Oh, is it? Oh. Well, I brought that dinghy for nothing.
No, there's a lake outside.
Is there?
Yes, yes,
Oh.
yes.
I'll
Now-
see you in the boat then later on.
Righto. Don't tell them all.
God, you're stronger than you look.
So sorry, Eric.
That's all right. Huh.
Now, Eric, if you've had a chance to look around the show, what would you most like to take home with you?
Well, it's not what I'm most like to take home. It's what I've got to take home because I brought the wife.
No, can I rephrase that? My goodness, you're an interviewer's nightmare. What kind of car would you like to take home?
Yes. Well, apart from the Saab, because it's written down there.
Yes,
Apart
yes,
from that, I'd like another Rolls Royce. No, one for each foot.
Eric, there's
No, it's true. It's true. I have a Rolls at home.
You do?
Yes.
A real Rolls?
No,
or
only a
just a
small
dinky
one.
toy?
It's about that big. It's a dinky
Yes,
toy. You've done my joke. You've ruined my joke. I'm going home. Good night, folks. It's been a pleasure working for you.
Eric, thank you for sparing
My
us
pleasure.
some time.
Now, don't forget your promise.
Well, in this program, we've talked an awful lot about comfort for the car driver. Here's comfort for the truck driver. This big Renault cab has a sprung seat. You can adjust your weight for the driver. It has all sorts of facilities here. It has air conditioning. It has television up the top there that the man can watch when he's lying in his bunk. Double bunks. Even down under here, a special double ring gas stove and sink unit with its own water supply. A fridge at the back there. Special heating so that if you're stopping overnight in a cold climate and keep the cab warm. Even curtains to shut it right off, so it's perfectly private and restricted. And of course, it does cost a bit extra. This truck as a whole unit costs £40,000, so these few extras to look after the driver's comforts come with it nicely.
This XR3 really is a super tool. Under the bonnet, we've got the brand new Ford CVH engine. We won't dwell on it, but it's a single overhead cam, and it's a classic racing car design. It's got an alloy head, 5 bearing crank, 96 brake horsepower at 6,000 revs. It'll shoot from 0 to 60 in a time of 8.6 seconds, and the maximum speed will be something like, 113 miles an hour. We're dawdling along to give you the benefit, but to appreciate it, you really have to drive it, flat out.
And here's a nice little quickie that I've come across, a small but very interesting gadget marketed by a company in East Anglia. It's called KeyCard, and the idea is that wires come from various parts of the vehicle's wiring system to this connector here. And by removing the key card, which is in effect a printed circuit, you cut off the system, and at any one time you will break 4 parts of the circuit, and therefore you could immobilize the vehicle. And the key card for your vehicle is totally unique. An interesting anti-theft device, particularly interesting when you think that every 2 minutes of the day and night, somewhere in the UK, a vehicle is stolen.
We got something we want you to do. We got something to show to you. We got something, oh, we got something new. We got something fun, we got something blue. Yeah!
And now here's a new and rather exciting addition to the show. It's literally only just arrived. It's called the Cypher. It's made just down the road in Coventry and very much an all-British car. It's powered by the 850cc engine that normally goes in the Reliant Kitten. And the designer, Tony Stevens, tells me that you'd be hard-pressed to get less than 50 mpg. It's got a top speed of 90 miles an hour, a glass fibre body offering style with economy, room for 2, there's room in the back. And the clincher, really, is that by the time they get into volume production, they reckon that it will cost just £5,300, which is going to make it a very competitive British sports car.
Well, BL's Metro was only announced and on sale to the public today, and yet already here is a special luxury version of it. It's called the Ogle Metro. It's built by the Wooden Picket coach building firm to the design of the Ogle Studio. Under the bonnet, it has the standard 1.3-litre Metro engine, but turbocharged to give 100 miles per hour performance. With that, you also get spoilers all round, even a spoiler along the roof here, light alloy wheels and low-profile tyres. But it's inside the car you get the real luxury touches. It has an 8-speaker audio system with a graphic equalizer. It has special trim of an exclusive fabric and leather that goes right the way through the car, even to the matching luggage at the rear. It has heated rally-style seats, even heated rear-view mirrors, rosewood cappings, just the sort of stuff you get in a Rolls-Royce. Well, if that doesn't give the driver an inflated idea of his own ego, there are special fittings just for the passengers. At the back, there's a little video screen with its own cassette player, so you can sit in the back, be whisked along in this little luxury carriage, watching your own favourite films. Of course, it costs a bit more than the standard standard Metro, because that's around £4,000. This is a cool £8,000 on top. Retails at about £12,000.
Well, unfortunately, we're just about out of time. But Jan, a dream car? Anything that you've really seen here you like?
Lost my heart to a veteran car.
But this is Motor Show 80. You got...
I'm an old-fashioned girl. It's lovely. I can just see me with a bonnet and a tie, you know. Lovely. Not very good for rainy weather, though.
No, not quite. You obviously like the Ogle Metro, Frank.
Very much.
What about the show 2 years on? How much has it changed?
Well, I think the main difference really is that people are much more fuel economy conscious. After all, 2 years ago, petrol was about 75 pence a gallon. Now it's 130 plus. And therefore, everybody's talking about drag coefficients and fuel efficiency, fuel economy figures, rather than brake horsepower maximums, that sort of thing. The emphasis has changed right through the show.
Right. Frank, Jan, thank you very much indeed. We've certainly been promised that the organisation here has been really sharpened up, promising you a great day out. If you come to the NEC, have fun with Motor Show 80. Good night.
Tomorrow night on Radio 4 in Going Places, there's a Motor Show special reporting on the opening day. That's tomorrow on Radio 4 at 7:20.
17 million people join in the fun each week, just part of BBC Television's midweek entertainment for less than 10p a day.
Collect the new 50p stamps. It makes paying the license easy.
Are you playing the game?
A late football result: England B Team 1, USA 0. Now BBC One begins a new series in celebration of the British arts, Best of British. Tonight's programme features Elton John.